Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, hosted by Aaron Locks and sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. Join us live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Aaron sits down with coaches, recreation professionals, and industry leaders to discuss youth sports, athlete development, coaching excellence, and the positive impact sports have on young people and communities. Tune in for expert insights, inspiring stories, and practical strategies to help young athletes succeed. In this episode, Aaron Locks talks with Coach Roderick Wagner about creating positive youth sports experiences through great coaching, supportive parents, and a focus on fun, development, and lifelong success.
All right, everybody, welcome to Youth Sports Mastery here on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. I am Aaron Locks. I'm your host, and I'm excited to have Roderick Wagner with us today. What I'm going to do is we're going to dive in. We've got some spots. Man, the DPRS family is growing. There's so much excitement. I want to let these spots roll, and then after that, we'll come in. We're going to dive in and talk everything youth sports. A lot of this is really going to be about not just Derek's journey as a coach and mentor and what he's done, but also some real tangible ways to help you as a coach, as an administrator, as a parent, get more out of the youth sports experience. So let's hit it. Go ahead and run those spots. We'll come to the other side. See you in a minute. Dive in.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly. From lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Update digital displays in real time. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. And even run community or sponsorship campaigns on digital screens. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product? Growing your presence in public spaces? Targeting cities, counties, or departments? DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
Welcome back, everybody. You know, Derek, I get excited when I see all the different things that are moving and so many people that are doing so much and giving back and helping kids. I would love to give you an introduction, and I've only got, a 1 hour show. So I think it's better if you give the snapshot a little bit about who you are, maybe why I'm so fired up to have you on the show, a little bit about your history, and then we can dive right into the topic. So welcome, Derek. Let everybody know who you are. What's happening?
So I'm Coach Derek Wagner. I coach a local travel baseball team here in Hastings, Nebraska. Um, I guess I just got started. Sports literally saved my life at one time. Growing up, I was kind of a victim of bullying, and sports really allowed me to grow as an individual and realize that there was stuff that was a little bit bigger than myself. And Really, sports changed the trajectory of my life. And so I just wanted to give that back to my community, give that back to my kids. And fortunately, I've been in a position where I can spread that love of athletics to, at this point, hundreds of kids that I've coached.
Yeah. That's awesome. And the reason why we've connected and I've seen what's going on, and it's interesting because a lot of people that know me feel that I'm anti-club, and I'm really not, or anti-travel. Really not. What I am though is if we do it right, it's got to have the recreational heart. And for me, learning from Coach Wood and all the mentors that I've had, it's based on the love of the game, the fundamentals, and giving them an opportunity to truly experience it in a way. And I'm going to get after you a little bit on this club stuff. We'll talk about it, but let's talk about first of all, like, okay, so no one's coaching a team, and you said I got a child and I'm going to take it over, or I saw an opportunity. Like, how did you get into that space?
Yeah. So it started out. This was actually COVID year. My son was 3 years old, and when he was real little, you buy the plastic baseball and bat and the tee and everything. And he got that, and the kid wouldn't put it down. He just fell in love with it from day one. So we were like, well, let's put him in T-ball, right? And that was through the local YMCA. And you give your phone number, your email, all that. Well, a week went by, and hey, your kid's team is looking for a coach. Like, would you mind helping out? Like, yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of how it started. And then it just escalated as he's gotten older. And now I'm where I'm at now.
Well, good on you, and good for not starting to travel at 3 years old, by the way. You're laughing, but I know there's some groups out there, 5 and 6 years old. They're going to 5 states and 60 tournaments. I'm like, oh my God, it's insane.
So
right?
I want to just interject on the travel thing. So from my point of view, there's levels to this, Aaron. And I would like to say that my program and the organization that I'm with, we're in between rec ball and full-fledged travel ball. We aren't chartering private jets to go 3 states away. All of the stuff that my team does, we're within a 4-hour radius of home. It started out the first year that I did it, we started within an hour. And once we could beat all those guys that were within an hour, all right, now let's travel out to 2 hours away and let's beat all those guys. And then just gotten bigger and bigger each year.
So it sounds like the way your program has worked is you've taken something and you've added to it, right? You've taken the fundamentals and you've taught. And look, I have nothing wrong with competition. I want to make sure it's kept in the right way. But my guess is that, and again, I've heard you, so I kind of know your mindset, so I'm kind of leaking into it. But you're more than a coach. You're a mentor to these kids. You see, the heart that you bring to it is the reason why I kind of fell in love with what you're doing, because you're not just teaching baseball, right? You're teaching life. You know that you got kids on the team that have families that maybe aren't, as traditional, or right, divorced families, or whatever the case is. And you work, no matter who they are on your team, you're working with these kids to meet them where they're at and to lift them up. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. So I think kind of why I went about it the way that I did is, starting out at the rec league, like it serves its purpose. It's very good for getting the masses into the sport. However, at a young age, my son, he was 6 years old, and in the rec ball that we were playing, every kid in the lineup got to bat. Even if a kid got out, he still got to stand on the base and run. Well, I remember distinctly at one time, my son, he was playing shortstop. He caught the fly ball, tagged the kid that was running from second to third, and then threw the kid out at first. Um, and then he comes to me and goes, Dad, that was a triple play. I got all three of those kids out. I was like, well, yeah, but no, right? And so you got kids like my son that were like that, and then we had other kids that unfortunately, mom and dad treated it as daycare. Like they just dropped their kid off and they'd go out and run errands for the next hour and a half while we're at our game, you know. And so there's levels to it. And so with my son, we decided that me and my wife that we wanted to put him into something a little bit more competitive and more up to speed with him. However, with that being said, kind of fell into the same situation where there was a lack of coaching even at the next level. And so the commissioner of our league that I'm currently in, he reached out to me. He had heard the good things that I was doing down there at the rec ball league and with the Y. And the town I live in is 30,000 people, so word spread fairly quickly. And my name got back to him, and he asked me to help start up this other team. And with that, I went in there with the mindset that I never wanted to be that guy that kicked away the next Derek Jeter, right? Because mom and dad couldn't afford the travel ball expenses. Right. So what we've been able to do with my program is I, as the head coach, I go out and I talk to businesses, and I always tell people and joke around, you know, I've been rejected plenty of times in my life. So I'll reach out and ask for money, and the worst they can do is tell me no, right? But based on getting those people that have donated money to us, I've set to the side a scholarship fund. And, you know, you get a kid that shows up to tryouts and this kid's lights out, but mom and dad say, man, like we really like what you're doing here, coach, but man, it's just we can't afford it. And it's like, all right, well, no problem. We're going to have, you know, 15 home games this year. You guys run the scoreboard. You guys show up an hour before the game and help me get the field prepped, and we'll call it even. And your kids' travel expenses are taken care of. You know.
Derek, let me ask you a question, because I love that because that's actually a recreational model in terms of if the child wants to play, we do everything we can. At the National Academy of Athletics, we do everything we can to not make money the reason why the kid can't play. But you said something let me ask you about. So what if you got a kid, you said he's lights out and he's that good, you want him on the squad. What if he's a kid that is middle of the road but works really hard and loves it, mom and dad still can't afford it? Is that kid not making the team? And is there a different play? Because what you're saying, I'm hoping, but at the collegiate level, obviously with the NIL, it's all changed. But we're talking about your kids are what, 10 years old, 8 years old?
11.
So what happens? My son comes to you. He really works hard. He loves baseball. We're a good family. But he's grown into his body. He's not quite as athletic as maybe or skilled as these others. Has he got a chance? How does it work?
So he's definitely got a chance. The thing that is going to be kind of the stopping point is availability on my team, right? Or whatever team that kid is trying out for, right? Whatever age group it is. But we've had it in the past where we've had a bunch of kids like that that have showed up to tryouts, and it's like, well, they maybe they aren't quite good enough for this team, and we don't have enough slots available. But we've got 12 kids that showed up to these tryouts that are all fairly level there, and they want to go try to compete at a little higher level than the local rec. And I don't want to make it sound like the level of baseball that we're playing is far superior than the rec leagues, but I definitely believe that different rec leagues are superior than some, right? And our rec league just unfortunately wasn't the highest of quality, and so we're kind of that bridge in that aspect, I think. But like this last year, I had 2 spots available on my team because I had a couple kids that were playing up, and talking with parents and the kids, we just decided that it was in the best interest that kid stayed down. just so that they could compete, they could have the success, they could be the guy on the team instead of being the ninth, 10th, 11th kid on the team. They can now be the number 1 or 2 kid, gain some confidence, get a little swag to them. Well, then I reached out to one of my buddies that he tried out for the next age group coming up. And I asked him, hey, man, like, you want to coach? And everything that you need, like, I'm your guy, hit me up, no problems. And we're able to start another team then. And we'll do an A team and a B team if we have that many kids in the same age group. Like with my scenario, we had kids that were playing up that needed to stay down just for their development's sake. And then we were able to start another team in that aspect.
So I love it in the sense that you're actually going through the process, and it's not because we've heard some of the, I mean, there's some horror stories out there, right? Those that can, you got the money, come on, you're on the team and let's go do this. And then it is what it is. It's not really a club travel team. It's really just kind of like a
money grab.
It's a money grab, right? So you're teaching. I know you, and I found out. I see you're teaching and you're coaching. But let me ask you this: so if my kid wants to play for you, give me 2 or 3 things that you want these parents that are listening, these people, that they should know? Because to me, Parks and Rec has its limitations. Let's be honest, as many things do. It's in my opinion, it's the best for the masses, right?
Yeah.
New kids should play Parks and Rec, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if the kids want more, then they say, okay, Coach Wagner, I want more, right? That's the evolution.
Yeah.
So if they played Little League and they've excelled at it, they're pretty good, right? When you know the first time I got to play AAU, between my junior senior year of high school. Otherwise, I couldn't have sniffed it. And I played 3 sports just because of the way it was back then. It was just the elite kids in baseball and basketball and that. What you're saying is you're okay taking kids that are pretty good as long as they have, and that's what I need to hear from you. What is it that a child needs to have in your mind to be able to play for your team or to be able to play on a competitive rather than a rec league?
So a couple things I'm looking for. I'm not just looking for the kid's talent or the lack thereof. I'm looking for the fit and the culture of my team from the parents as well. I'm not going to bring in toxic parents onto my team either. So what I'm looking for in the kid is, does little Johnny hustle to each station that we have set up at tryouts? Is he respectful to the kids that are around him at the tryouts? Is he respectful to the adults that are running the tryouts? Is he respectful to his mom and dad? And then on the flip side, what I'm looking for in parents, and I've seen this too, you have little Johnny that shows up to tryouts, and mom and dad are standing right behind home plate, and little Johnny's struggling during his BP session, and next thing you know, mom and dad are cussing, screaming at little Johnny, "Oh, come on, you can hit that ball," and screaming and shouting, and like, whoa, we're pumping the brakes on that, and I'm not going to be up front and tell them like, hey, you're the reason why your kid's not on my team. But talk to them, and so you're the dynamic that we have here is just not going to be a good fit, I don't think. I'm looking at parents just as much as the kids.
Stay on the parents for a second. I want to pull that thread a little bit, because I remember when I was coaching my son's basketball team, and to be honest, everybody knew my background and working, with the NBA players. Everybody wanted to play for my team for whatever reason, and we could only take 10 kids. That's all we could have.
Yeah.
Allowed. And this is Catholic Youth Organization, just little kids basketball, 3rd grade. So I looked around and I saw the parents that were there that were chatting with the kids all the time and trying to all these other things. I go, you know what? I don't want those. You know what? I just want the kid is it the kid that wants to play or the parent that wants them to play, right? When I worked, I did one of my fun jobs. I was the umpire in the San Francisco Giants television commercials back in 2010 to 2014. And I got to, I guess I had a face for a mask, right? But I got to hate players, And what was really cool was Buster Posey. We were talking about with Panic and Belt and Posey and Crawford. What does it take for a child to play high school varsity, to play college, to be able to get paid to play, right? What does it take? And we came up with determination and hard work and fundamentals and, athleticism, all these things. And then Posey looked over at me and he goes, it's passion. If it's a kid's passion and they're willing to do the work. Now, you mentioned in some of our chats before the word passion and what you're looking for in kids. So I'm kind of prompting you, brother. These parents need to hear this flat out. You need a kid that has some athleticism, absolutely, but they got a passion. And when they come to the field, they run to the field because they're fired up to be there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I always tell the story. If you're the one pushing your kid to go practice, who wants it, right? Like a lot of times, I don't do this full time. I've got a day job. When I get home and I'm driving down the driveway, especially in the summertime, man, more times than not, my son's already got the bucket of baseballs sitting out in the. We live out in the country and we got a little acreage, and he'll be sitting on his bucket of baseballs. He's got his bat bag out there. He's got my glove out there, and he's got his bats ready to go. He says, "Hey, Dad, let's play some catch and throw me BP." Like, I don't even pull my work truck all the way up to the garage. It stops in the middle of the driveway, and I go walking out there, and I go throw a BP. You know what I mean?
And there's nothing better than that. And by the way, that can still have that environment in rec ball. If you're a parent volunteer and you want your child to start and you're not sure where to start in rec. Parks and Rec is so important. And you get the kid out there and they play. And if they have that passion and they have the skill, right, and they can develop these things, but it's got to be their journey. All right, I want to shift a little bit now. Now, I was a multi-sport athlete. In fact, I played just about everything. In fact, we used to walk to school uphill both directions in the snow in Marin County. And we'd invent games, man. We would play dodge the rock and throw the rock at each other across the street, right? We hit a car in the head. That's what we did. You played multiple sports coming up?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I started wrestling at 4 years old. Started playing football. I was 10, 11 years old when I started doing that. So anyone that knows anything, wrestling season and basketball season usually correlate around the same time. In junior high, though, the way they split it up was the sports had separate seasons. And so in junior high, I was even able to play a little bit of basketball. And then I did track and field from 6th grade on up as well.
Well, first of all, being in Nebraska, I would expect wrestling and football, right? Here you go. But it's a cool thing. So you've played multiple sports. So when I was a kid, we played everything. Right now, one of the biggest challenges is that when I was a kid, 9 out of 10 kids signed up to play a sport each year at least once. Now it's less than 5 out of 10. And one of the big challenges is early specialization. So your son is 10, right? 10 or 11? 10?
He's 10, yep.
Okay. Are you allowing / encouraging? Tell the story. Tell on yourself. Where's he at? Because he may just love baseball so much that that's all he wants to do. But what everybody has said, when I met with the NCAA, the Football Coaches Association, they were talking about it. 81% of the athletes that play that were recruited for 24 season in football played 2 sports through the age of 16. 8 out of 10. So if you want your child to play at the higher level, parents or you're listening out there, whoever it is, you know what? Playing multiple sports is important, whether it's swimming, whether it's track, whatever it is. All right, Derek, telling yourself, what's up? Tell me about yourself.
So Lucas, baseball is his number one. However, with that being said, the second that baseball's over, hey, Dad, go play catch with me with the football out in the front yard. And we've done flag football ever since he was, I think, 5 years old. And then this past season was our first year of Pop Warner football. And he had a lot of success in that. And then once Pop Warner was over, he's got a basketball in his hand. And right now we're actually, we started baseball practices. We're doing 2 practices a week right now. But we've still got 2 more basketball tournaments left over that we're finishing up on. And so I always encourage all the kids that are on my team. Like right now, like I said, we've started baseball practices, And there's times that I've got kids on my team that they've got wrestling going on. And my rule on my team is whatever sport is in season, that's the most important sport right now. If you're doing wrestling,
time out. We need to say that again from a travel coach. Say it again. Everybody needs to hear this. Say it loud. Say it proud. Say it clear. Go ahead.
Yeah. So even though we're doing baseball practice right now, whatever sport is in season at that point, that sport comes first. We were doing off-season stuff during basketball and towards the tail end of football, just letting kids get some reps, get in the gym if they wanted to. It was all voluntary. But if you got football going on, your butt had better be at football practice. If you got wrestling or basketball, what are you doing at baseball practice right now, dude? Like, you better get your butt to wrestling practice.
Amen. The sad part about it is because it's become such big business and people are actually doing this for, private equity money and it's become a thing. There's coaches out there that are in your position that are telling these kids, don't play other sports. You got to stay with our program year round. And we know it's not in the child's best interest. We know that. What we know is kids that play multiple sports are more well-rounded. They're more likely to stay in love with the current sport that they play. You know what we do at the National Academy of Athletics, which I love, is even if it's a basketball camp, we will do the drills and then we'll play a game, right? And the kids love the game. And then as soon as that game's over, they want to play again. You know what we say? Not now. We go back and learn another fundamental, but guess what? We'll come back and play that game again. Because if you do the same thing over and over enough, it's going to become a place where they become complacent. They're not fired up to do it. And one piece. The other piece I think that I want you to talk a little bit about, which is scary, is the fact that there's over 600% increase in Tommy John surgeries in collegiate athletes and beyond. And that scares me. That means to you give your kids time to not throw the baseball, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I've heard kids that have had Tommy John surgery and they weren't even in 13U yet. And they're having UCL problems and stuff. And like, that's just, it's insane. But then I go to some of these tournaments that my team's in, and one team that we played, they pitched, he was their best pitcher. It was in the championship game, so they're trying to leave it all out on the line. I pitched 6 different kids in that game. He pitched one. And that one kid pitched 130 pitches against us. And like, I'm the coach for the opposing team, and I'm like wanting to say something to this other coach, like, come on, man. Like, we were beating the brakes off of him. And he still got this, he was a great pitcher. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't take anything away from this kid. But it's like, come on, man. Like, we're already up by this much. I've got my 4th, 5th, 6th pitchers in. You still got your numero uno in, and the kid's struggling out there. He was getting frustrated. He's had his head down because we were hitting off of him. And at what point is that doing anything beneficial to anybody?
Well, and again, that becomes about, unfortunately, and it happens in rec and all different levels, everybody's individual ego. But again, like when I worked for Magic, his number one goal was to win kids. And you win kids by putting kids first. We like at the National Academy of Athletics, we like to think of ourselves as kid-centric, right? We want this to be right? This is about what's in the best interest of the kids, right? It's funny because I was thinking I'm a lifelong San Francisco Giants fan. I remember us bringing signs, let Pablo pitch, because it was one of those, those games that it's so lopsided. We're like, let Pablo get in there and pitch a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know what? By trying different positions, right? When you get in those scenario situations, it's so good for the kids, body, mind, and spirit, right? Trying something different perspective. They learn empathy, they learn leadership, they learn all these different factors, right?
And setting them up for the future. Like, my big philosophy is having kids play multiple positions, just for the simple fact that right now my goal is to develop players. Like, I could care less what our win-loss record looks like. I want to play good teams and I want to have competitive games. We're not always going to win all of those. I understand that. And I tell my parents that. I'm very upfront and honest with them. Like, we're going to play stiffer competition because it's going to make us better. We're not going to win all of those games, and there's nothing wrong with that. But my goal as a youth coach isn't to win championships at 9, 10, 11 U. My goal is that when they get to high school, they're competing for a varsity spot as a freshman.
Right.
So I tell my kids all the time, like they're at the age right now where they think that the bad kids playing the outfield, right? The kids that aren't as good playing the outfield. And it's like, no, guys, one day you're going to be a freshman and you're going to want to play shortstop. But guess what? There's going to be a senior playing shortstop, right? And he's probably going to be better than you. But if the only position you've ever played is shortstop, coach is going to tell you, well, little Jimmy, you're going to be riding a pine the rest of the year, right? But if you can rebuttal that with saying, well, hey, coach, like I can play left field too. I can play catcher. I can pitch. I can play first base. Like all of a sudden now your doors are really opening.
All right. So we're running up against it. We're about to take a break. When we come back, we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. We're going to talk a little bit more about challenges, but also just keeping things in perspective in terms of what should the priorities be from the parent perspective, the league perspective, the coach perspective as we come back. So, Jovi, let's run the spots. We come back. Derek, I'll see you in a couple minutes. Welcome back. Let's dive back in.
Before the game, before the lights, before the pressure, there's a moment most people never see. Welcome to The Athlete's Commute, a podcast distributed by DPRS Media Network, co-produced by Her Sports, and hosted by Jordan Ziff. Each episode, Jordan gets behind the wheel, driving athletes to practice, to training, to game day, while getting to know who they really are beyond the jersey. The mindset, the grind, the sacrifices, the moments no one talks about. No scripts, no filters. Just real conversations in real motion. Because every athlete has a journey, and every journey deserves to be heard. This is The Athlete's Commute. Buckle up.
On the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we bring you the real stories of tomorrow's professionals, people shaping the future, one idea at a time. Meet the very first DPRS interns to officially host their own segment, Aidan Tierney and Michael Morrow. With curiosity, passion, and a fresh perspective, they're stepping into the spotlight to lead meaningful conversations with today's rising leaders. The Young Professionals Network takes you inside the journeys, challenges, and major wins of young individuals making their mark across industries. From first jobs to bold ventures, every story fuels growth, ambition, and innovation. Each episode brings real conversations, fresh perspectives, and impactful insights created to motivate the next generation of professionals. Whether you're just starting out, exploring new paths, or figuring out your next move. Tune in to the Young Professionals Network every Thursday at 5 p.m. only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Don't miss it, because your next big idea might be one story away.
Welcome back. All right. So we've been talking with Derek about Coach Wagner, about youth sports and his journey. Man, I love the fact you just let it out there and saying exactly what it is, because we're kind of saying the quiet parts out loud, you know. And I think the universe needs to hear that. Youth sports has been kind of a train wreck, you know. There's if I'll tell you this, if what we were doing, we as in nationwide were doing, more kids would be playing sports, period. They'd be playing team sports. And the fact that when I grew up, we got to go down the street and play with our friends and just play until the streetlights came on. That's not happening. So rec sports is the place to go. But if you are going to step into that next level, you are going to say, you know what, my son or daughter really digs this. They really have an aptitude for it. You know, Derek's kid is so good. Obviously got the mom's athleticism, right? You know,
yeah, absolutely.
Shout out moms, you know. But so now what's that next step? And the next step is, what's the priority? To me, at the National Cab Athletics, we're big on, I want kids, like a lot of leagues we run, the number one thing is always safety. Number two is they have such a positive experience, learning skills, making friends, life skills, sports skills, the whole deal, that they want to keep doing this thing. That's it. That's our priority. Now we'll talk about competition in a minute, but do me a favor, Derek. Give me a breakdown for you. When you look at a team, when you look at what's going on, what's your priority? Confidence, skills, winning? Give me a little bit of that.
My number one, and I should probably change it to safety now that you say that, but I've always had the mindset, I guess just that goes without saying. So my number one rule that I always preach.
Come on. You say it goes without saying, but then you got a coach out there that wants to win the darn game, and he's got a kid pitch 130 pitches. That's not putting things first. So I agree with you, and that's why I say safety first. Granted, so good on you. Hey, we picked some up today. We got one. All right.
Yeah. Well, like I said, maybe I should change my number one, but historically, prior to your statement, my number one rule has always been fun. Like, sports are a game, right? And games should be fun. We should be having fun while we're playing football. We should be having fun while we're playing baseball, basketball, wrestling. Because if we're not having fun, especially at the youth level, what the heck are we doing here, right? And so my number one rule is just keep it fun. Number two is like, let's get a little bit better at it, right? Like I always tell my boys, 1%. Let's get 1% better today than we were yesterday. Let's take what we learned yesterday and let's apply that today so that we can build on something new now. And then number three, just compete with everything you've got. Like I'm okay with losing. I'm okay with striking out. I always tell my boys baseball is because I coach baseball, soccer, football, basketball, all of it, right? But especially in baseball, I tell my boys baseball is the only sport that your favorite player, he fails 70% of the time. And people are still signing up for his autographs. They're standing in line wanting his autographs at the end of the day. And he failed 70% of the time. You know, baseball's hard.
It is. I was doing a clinic with Dusty Baker a long time ago, and he made the point in front of the group, and it was a big group, and all of a sudden everybody went quiet because he said, if you spent 10 years playing Major League Baseball and you got out 7 out of 10 times, and you struck out half the times you got out, what would you be? A Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Right? That's the deal. And to me, sports is really about failure, but that's where the resiliency comes in, right? Yeah. So that's that next step. So part of the skills you teach, and I know as we connect and I see what's going on, you're not just teaching about how to throw the ball, right? Or how to hold the ball in the sea or what you're doing. You're actually teaching the next step, this stuff, right? Mental toughness, teaching that. And it's interesting because to me, there's no better life skill teaching tool than youth sports, right? And you're 100%. Taking no matter what sport it is, and you're teaching those things. So when you communicate, when you work with your parents that are coaching, that are on your team, you got 12 kids on your squad. Okay, parents. So let's talk about communicating expectations, because we got to build trust and alignment with these parents if they're going to play, whether it's football or whether it's club, travel, college, whatever it is, there needs to be a level of understanding, right? So let's break that down for me a little bit. How do you communicate your expectations with the parents to build trust and alignment?
So we always have tryouts right towards the end of July, beginning of August. And then within about 2 weeks, we pick all the kids that'll be on the team for the following year. And then usually second week of August, I'll get everyone together on my team, that all the new kids, the existing kids, and we'll have a team picnic and we'll all get together potluck style. And at that point, I actually on my team have a code of conduct. And in that code of conduct, it lays out expectations for the head coach, expectations for the assistant coaches, expectations for the kids, and expectations for the parents. And we go through it word for word. It's 3 pages long. We go through it word for word as a group with the kids, with the parents, with all the coaches sitting right there. So if anyone has any questions at the end of it, someone, asks the question, it gets addressed in front of the entire group. So everyone is on the same page. And fortunately, since I've begun introducing that, I started doing that 2 years ago. this is my second year of doing that. Last year was my first year of doing it. Since I've introduced that, I honestly have had zero parent problems since then.
We're big at the National Academy of Athletics. We have a program we called, which is the three-pronged approach, which you just, because for absolute clarity, coaches, players, parents, all on the same page, right?
Yep.
If you do that, then everybody has understanding, boundaries. It doesn't mean something's not going to not go wrong or there's not going to be challenges, but we've already addressed. As an example, one thing that I use, Derek, is if your kid plays on my team, I control when, where, and how long any conversation lasts with you. And that first conversation will never happen in front of that child. Because we know if you and I get after in front of the kid, it's going to undermine what we're trying to do, right?
Yep. I always tell my parents I got a 24-hour rule. If you got something that goes on at practice or a game that you're not a fan of, give it 24 hours, let cooler heads prevail, and then come address me. And it's the same thing. It's away from the kids. And we're going to talk civilly. We're going to be adults about it,
Right.
and we can hash out anything that needs to be hashed out at that point. Like I said, though, fortunately, being very transparent from day one and outlining everybody's expectations, I've had zero parent issues. And don't get me wrong, like it hasn't always been smooth sailing. Like I was once a pretty ignorant, young coach that was just trying to figure it out as he went, right? And so there's been some bumps in the road for sure. But I've learned from those, right? And the biggest thing that I can say with all of that is you don't let it affect your team. No matter what's going on, you can't let it get to a point where it becomes toxic and cancerous, because then that tends to spread. And you can't have that in any sport.
Yeah, I got another one for you, which you might like. I don't know if you've heard of Don Miguel's 4 agreements, but we use this with ours as well. So there's 4 agreements that we have to make, and we both sign on. Number 1 is that your word is your bond. If you say it, you mean it, and you're going to do it and do the best to do it. And if you've got nothing nice to say, you just don't say it. So your word.
Yep.
Number 2 is we don't take things personally. Right, which is tough for some people, but if you can learn to not take things personally, it takes the sting out of actions that happen. Especially, don't take it personally for your child because you don't know the why yet. Right. Number 3 is we don't make assumptions. We know about assuming. Well, I thought I thought that or thought that. So communication. And number 4 is just do your best. There's no such thing as 110%. But there is such thing as 100% bring your best. So those 4 things, I actually operate my life that way. But we bring that to all the leagues that we manage and all the programs, and it takes away, because then we get to the situation. Sounds like you're taking this personally. I really apologize. Let's go back to the 4 agreements. Let's go back to our conversation, Derek.
Yep.
And we have an agreement rather than a contract, because everybody gets freaked out about contracts. But that's what it's about, right? I think you're setting the tone for that. Another thing that I love that really good coaches do is when my son was playing football and I was helping out with the organization, they asked me, they're having problems because the parents were not happy with the structure of what was going on. They didn't know for clarity. So what I did is I had the coaches take the basic format of the instruction, what they're going to teach that day, and the kids pulled up. The kids went on the field and warmed up with the assistant coaches. The head coach stood there right then, away from the kids, with them and the parents by the parking lot, and said, "Hey, today we're working on this. Here's the fundamentals. Here's the drills. Here's what we're going to do. We'll be done in an hour and a half. We'll see you then. Any questions?" All right, let's do one. And by being that transparent, it really helps. So here's my question for you. What do you think separates a good youth coach from being good, bad, or great?
I think ego has a lot to do with it. I think when a guy is doing it just to say, I'm the best 12U baseball coach of all time. My team's been undefeated for 6 years in a row, but he's picking this kid from this team and this kid from this team, and he's getting just the best players. Like, you're not coaching. All you're doing is getting the best of the best together to go beat the brakes off of other kids, right?
You're a good recruiter. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's all it is. You got cool uniforms. You got the most clout with every travel organization that you're you're involved with. And that's all it is. You're exactly like you said, you're a recruiter. You're not a coach. You're not developing anything. And I think the guy that can put his ego to the side and realize that the main thing is the kids, not yourself, that's the coaches that separate themselves. Because I think when standards are set early and a culture is built and everyone's on the same page, everyone's rowing in the same direction, I think the wins are just going to come naturally. I think that just comes with hard work, discipline, all the good things that you hear about, and the wins just start happening, at that point. But what can't happen is the coach's ego gets in the way. I don't know a single coach that his ego is the number one end all be all that is successful. It's just,
you have to have an id. You have to have the wherewithal to take, thick skin for whatever it is and deal with it across the board. But, the best coaches that I've seen, and I've worked with some really good ones, they do make it about the kids. And I love the fact that while they have a plan, they also realize that, it's gonna adjust. I love Joe Montana, right? And one of the things that he taught me when we were working together, he fail fast, fail forward. He said, back in the day, he called his own plays half the time, right? He selected what's going on. So he gets sacked, gets his face mask in the dirt, bent sideways, gets up. They got the 300-pounder that landed on. He's got to take the mud out. The clock is running. He went from 30 to 20 seconds. He's got to call the right play, get back in there, and execute, make that happen. And that's what I love about sports is if we allow kids to be their journey and give them the word, I think, is judgment. If we can take the judgment out, right, and not make it that we're judging them, but we're actually teaching them and let be their journey, I think that's when kids can thrive, because then they're not afraid to try. They're not afraid to take the shot. They want to be right. That's what we want to do, which is the confidence and the courage we're teaching them to do that, which really translates into life, right?
So a quote that I really, really like. So live in Nebraska, big Cornhuskers fan, right? And love the man or hate the man, but Scott Frost was our coach, in the last coaching cycle. And things didn't necessarily go his way, but one thing that he said that really stuck out to me that I have stole from him, and like I said, good, bad, or otherwise, I don't care what your opinion is, but I absolutely love this quote from him, is that he's trying to build a culture where kids have a desire to excel with no fear of failure. A desire to excel with no fear of failure. And I think that encapsulates absolutely everything that needs to be encapsulated in sports.
What's cool about that is not just sports, but life, right, brother? I mean, I got a 24-year-old son and a 21-year-old daughter, and I've done my best to instill that in them, right?
Yep.
They want living fear sucks, right?
Yep.
Right. It doesn't mean that you think you can fly and jump it off the bridge without a parachute or whatever. I get that, but the willingness, and I think the ability to teach, and this is going to be weird for some people, but the word competitive spirit, right? We want kids to learn to compete. We want them to be able to compete. We want them to be able to try to push themselves out there. So talk a little bit about the balance in your program between development of skills, but also that competitive, because some kids aren't competitive by nature, right? But if they're going to be good and they're going to play, they have to have a passion for it. They have to have skills for it, but they got to have that something, right? That competitiveness.
Yep. So I think what helps out with my team is no matter good, bad, or otherwise, on a result of a play in the field or an at-bat, my kids know that they aren't getting a butt chewing on the other side of it. You know what I mean? Like, I always tell them, like, what's the positive that we can take away from a negative, right? There's always a silver lining no matter what happens. So if we strike out, that's fine. But, like, go tell your teammate that's on deck, like, what pitches you seen, where he was pitching, where in the zone he was hitting, and tell your friend to lay off that outside low fastball, right? because it's outside of the zone and you can't reach it, right? That struck you out. Well, now your buddy, he can get a walk because he knows this information that you know now, right?
Yeah.
So there's always a silver lining no matter what happens. And I think when kids aren't playing tight and just anxious because they're afraid that they're going to get their butts chewed because of a mistake, they're gonna mess up more. I guess a quick story, kind of about one of the reasons why I got into travel baseball as a head coach, that kind of correlates with this. I was actually an assistant coach for the travel baseball team the first year that my son did travel baseball. And I was coaching with a gentleman that his coaching style and my coaching style just didn't mesh. He was very, like, he would get fired up, and I always tell everyone I'm all about high fives and attaboys. And my son, he's a left-handed kid. He was 7 years old at the time, playing on the 9U baseball team, and he was our starting shortstop as a left-handed kid. So I don't know if that tells you anything about the talent level of the team at the time, or if that tells you anything about the talent level of my son, but maybe it's a combination of both.
Right.
But my son had a line drive ground ball come to him, like it was coming in hot, and it took a weird hop, and my son probably wasn't in the best position to receive that ground ball. Could he have been in a better position? Absolutely, but he was 7, right? Took a bad hop, bounced over his shoulder, goes into the outfield. The head coach stands up, throws his clipboard into the fence, kicks his bucket of balls over, and turns around to my son and goes, "Lucas, what in the hell are we doing?" And I'm like, "Whoa, dude!" Like, and maybe this stuck out just because it was my kid, but I pulled him to the side and I'm like, "Dude, like, I get it, because I'm that competitive too, but I know there's a time and a place, right?" So I pulled him to the side because I didn't want to say anything in front of the boys, right? And I'm like, "Dude, like, I understand what you're trying to accomplish in that. Like, you don't want him to make a mistake. But look at him now. He's got his head down. He's embarrassed because you just screamed at him in front of all of his friends, in front of all of his parents, his grandparents, his siblings, all the parents of all of his buddies, in front of God and everyone." I said, "No one knows that he messed up right now more than him."
Right.
I said, so he's already in his head because he messed up. Now he's in his head because he feels like he let you down. And he's embarrassed now because you did that in front of everyone. I said, "I get what you're trying to accomplish, but that's not how you go about it." I said, "Baseball, one of my biggest things on my team is 3 to 5 seconds. Good, bad, or otherwise, 3 to 5 seconds is all the more we can dwell on a play. You know, if we hit a home run, that's great, but guess what? There's another play coming. If we flub a grounder, that sucks. On to the next one. There's going to be another pitch right behind that, and guess what? If you got your head down like an ostrich in the sand, you know, you're going to mess up on the next one too."
And the baseball gods
get your chin up.
Yeah, baseball gods are rude and hard, because if you make something
100%.
happen, they're coming right back at you again, like it or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got 2 things out of it, which I love. One is that great coaches in my life that I've seen, that I've heard, that I try to emulate, is they create positive change without causing resentment. And what you just said that coach did is going to cause resentment. Number 2, one of the ways to do that is by praising in public and correcting in private. Taking a little, calm aside and going, "Here we go." The third one, which is something I learned from Coach George Carl, which I love, and he would talk about the fact that physical mistake, I can understand. The mental mistakes, we have to be able to adjust, because you know as well as I do, and the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is insanity, right? So we have to change that. All right, look, we're coming up on the clock. I want to wrap up with a couple more questions for you. Time flies as we go. I want to talk about Parks for a second, because you came from rec sports, right? You're still involved in rec sports.
I'm still involved with rec sports,
but you're a clubby. You're a club guy, you know, one of those, a club guy, you know, which is cool. So I really want to talk a little bit about, I'm a believer that what will save kids and make more kids play youth sports is more involvement in parks and recreation. I believe they have the access to the community, the facilities, the opportunity to bring more of that back. But I want to see and get your mindset a little bit. Preach it. You're out there. What's going on in your mind in the rec sports space? We'll get to the club in the end, but the rec sports space in terms of why you're still playing. You're a clubby and you still play rec sports. What's the deal?
Yeah, so I guess there's I think availability is part of it, but also um, like necessity. Like the rec baseball around where I live wasn't the highest level. Like I said, it turned into like I was babysitting kids more or less. Like mom and dad wouldn't even be at the games, and like we're talking t-ball age kids. Um, so like it just turned into a lot of headache in the baseball. But you flip that to the Pop Warner, that's ran by the city, and that's fantastic. Like our Pop Warner team, we've got I think 5 teams in it, and each team has 30 to 40 kids on it. Like
Awesome.
that's incredible, and it's 4th through 6th grade kids. And so there's not a need to go do travel sports at that with football, because the quality of the rec play is at a high level. It's not daycare. You have there's 6, 7, 8 coaches on every team,
Right.
and they're volunteering. No one's having to go out and ask them to be a coach for this.
But
And,
Derek,
and
let me
I
ask you
think,
a question. There's some kids that will call you. I know you're saying this daycare, and I understand, but some kids, that's how they learn. They sports sample or not. They go to daycare that has baseball and dodgeball and soccer, and then they fall in love, and then they grow into their body and they develop confidence. And 2 years later, all of a sudden they're 5 inches taller, and now they're a basketball player. Right? That's part of this.
yeah,
But your son plays Pop Warner football, club baseball. What basketball?
rec basketball as well. It's through the YMCA, but it's rec basketball.
So what I guess I'm getting at is there's a fit. It doesn't mean that you have to just be all of one or everything. And that's what I do believe. I feel like, and I'm asking, I guess I'm preaching myself, but I feel like, man, there's nothing wrong with playing everything, and you should play everything. Whatever they're interested in playing, whatever season it is, go do that. And if you're elite in one thing because you're really good or your dad's coach or whatever, go for it. But don't give up on the other ones, right? Give everything.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, Lucas, he loves baseball, but once football's coming, man, baseball takes a back seat for a while, and we're laser focused on football now. And same thing that happens once football's over. Like we're laser focused on basketball.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So in your coaching experience, what would you say is one of the difference for you that you're seeing when you coach club versus coaching rec?
So I think the main thing that I see, like I'll just talk about baseball because I've coached at both levels for that. The main thing that I see is parents are paying to play the club baseball, right? And so they're a little bit more invested. They're more worried about the development of little Jimmy so that he gets playing time, so that it's worth the money that mom and dad spent on that new bat that little Billy just had to have. Versus when it was the rec ball. Like I said, it turned into daycare. Parents weren't as invested because they didn't have as much at stake. The other thing that I see is parents are more willing to spend the time with their kids at the travel level, as far as playing catch, throwing BP to their kids, stuff like that. And I don't know is that's necessarily a byproduct of club, but there's just a little more skin in the game.
I think the reality of it is, at the rec level, whether you want to call it daycare or they're just playing rec ball, just rec, it's just rec. Really, they're learning a lot of things when they play rec. But if your kid wants more, club is available. You got to choose your club wisely as well, because there are some clubs that are in it. Some clubs are like, we're going to win. I understand competing, but win kids, help the kids develop, because that's the ultimate goal, right? Is that these kids develop, and again, safety, and they're developing, they're having fun as they go forward. And I love the fact that you said, even as a club coach, right? And you want to compete and you're there to win games. That's part of the deal. But fun is always going to be that number one. Of course, as we go forward. So if I want to learn more about what's happening with you, or if someone wants to connect with you, how do they go about doing that?
So the best way is just LinkedIn. Roderick Derek Wagner on LinkedIn. I kind of try to stay away from other social media platforms, but LinkedIn is the best place to find me. And then if you guys want to see like what we're up to, we have a website, hastingthunderbaseball.com, that you can check out, and it'll show kind of everything that's going on within my organization and kind of what we're doing over there too. So
I love it. At the National Academy of Athletics, as we're expanding now in 11 states and 350 cities, and what we're doing, the ability, that the fact I get to speak with people like you that are connected in the community, that are giving back, right? Because you're not making a ton of money, my coach. You got a day job. Yeah.
Zero.
That's what it is. So you have a passion for the kids, and good for you. I want to have you back a year from now. We can talk about your son's, Lucas's, journey and look as things roll forward and going from there. If you're interested in bringing National Academy of Athletics to your community, you want to find out more, or maybe even if you want to become a franchisee with us or work with us, check us out at nationalacademyofathletics.com. Give us a link, a follow, a click, a share, of whatever the other things you do, and social media across board and all platforms. But I appreciate the opportunity, appreciate the support for DPRS. And I will see you guys next Thursday as we continue to talk about everything youth sports. Derek, thank you for your time. Keep it up, brother. And we'll see you guys down the road. Thanks, you. We're on our way out. See you soon. Remember to play hard and have fun.
They say it's Just Rec. Just Rec, where kids learn to try again. Just Rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
JDP Services Management Consulting, supporting parks and recreation and the essential service they provide. Communities benefit greatly from having dedicated advocates who champion the value of play in open spaces. Such advocacy ensures that recreational areas are prioritized and managed in ways that enhance the overall quality of life for everyone. We are dedicated to fortifying public park and recreation agencies and other related organizations by taking a practical, engaged approach to consulting and training, addressing immediate needs while equipping clients with lasting insight and tools to strengthen their organizations for long-term success. JDP Services, Management Consulting, meeting needs and exceeding expectations.
Welcome to DPRS Media Co., the first media company built for the people behind the Parks and Rec community. We don't just cover on Parks and Rec, we elevate it, we amplify it, we honor it. At the heart of everything we do is one mission: to serve the public servants, the professionals who design, maintain, and lead the parks that shape our communities. Under the daily Parks and Rec show, we produce 6 powerful platforms. Leadership in Parks and Rec, a spotlight on directors, superintendents, and visionaries shaping the future of public spaces. Facility maintenance, where the boots hit the ground, a deep dive into the systems, crews, and craftsmanship that keep our parks clean, safe, and beautiful. Young Professionals Network, shining a light on the next generation of Parks and Rec. Students, interns, and mentors sharing how we build a legacy together. Youth Sports Mastery, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. This series is for coaches, parents, and rec leaders working to make youth sports fun, fair, and meaningful again. The Rec Room, hosted by the passionate leaders of Henry County Parks and Rec. This show brings frontline energy and real-life stories from the field. And the weekly Parks and Rec Post, our official newsletter delivering stories, insights, and community wins every week. We are DPRS Media Co. LLC, a media company with a mission to uplift the professionals who serve every community, every park, every day.